What up? What's good, people? What is up? What is up? They went from the fourth level of hell and sent us down to the seventh level of hell. Why? Because then you got Kwanzaa pulling out her titties. The whore pulled out her titties. And these whore bags over here started feeling and fondling on her tits. Mike.
I don't have it to do with you. Girl, you can go over there, rant and rave. Girl, you can shake all your rainbow right here all you want, dear one. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this with you, dear one. I'm not doing this with you, dear one. I don't have nothing to do with you, and I'm done. Baby, you can scream my name from the rooftops from now till Jesus come back. I'm done after this.
Introduced to Tick's Meat. Do you see what I see? Did y'all really hello, casting wardrobe? Y'all let him roll up out of wardrobe with these fans on, giving us all of this, thinking we were not going to see it? We have been waiting with bated breath and anticipating all season long for the slightest glimpse. And y'all just put it out there this episode in all of its magnificent glory.
Listen, that young man said, baby, you ate on this first date, you giving up the cooch on the first date, okay? Or you gonna run me my coins? Run me my cooch or run me my coins? Run me my cooch or run me my coins? Run me my cooch or run me my coins? That's our new theme song. That is the new song. Listen, somebody need to put a beat to that. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. This what y'all got going on.
Called out Sandcastle. Sand, bitch. Oh my God, it was so funny, girl. Ooh, baby, listen, let me tell you something. This shit started to turn into the precursor for some gay porn. That's what I thought it was. Because Big T is getting all, the voice starting to go deeper and get a little more wet and moist and sentimental and all this shit. And it was real gay at this point. Like, I thought the bitches was going to stop. I thought Lil Murder was going to turn Big T around and do him like he did Uncle Cliff and do the grease it up with City Lou and ran right in there. It's not a coincidence that Big T started off the conversation by trying to find out if Lil Murder was fucking Mercedes, which he found out he's not. It's also not a coincidence that he would start talking about prison. Why? Because the bitches was probably fucking in prison. Girl. Uncle Clifford, you better go get your man. Big T got plans for that. What he had on looked like something Big Bird vomited up or something like that. Like, I did not like it. That Big Bird couture he was going for, it did not work. Like the pastor of a gay mega church on Easter Sunday. Okay, it was way too much sequins. He had on way too much makeup. Baby, his face looked like Iyanla Vanzant's neckline. Okay, just way too much makeup, clumped in everywhere on his face. Get it together, sweetheart. Like, you're a big girl, so that gives you a whole lot of canvas. So that was a whole lot of makeup, honey. And Rico looked like he was auditioning to be one of the three kings, or he was auditioning to be the main character on Jesus Christ Superstar. Girl, Wayne, did you have on a blue thong or a blue G-string or something? If you did, I want to see that. Get me up in my DMs, I do want to see if you have a blue thong or a blue, jock strap, something like that. I'd love to see it. Anyway, but I liked it with the turtleneck. Now, Troy. Well, hello, people. Hello. How the hell are you? I hope you all are having a marvelous, magnificent, marvelously magnificent Monday. I just hope that you are. Anyway, welcome to Run Your Mouth. I am L Teddy 27 here on this wonderful Monday, May 19th, to give you all of the latest news and headlines and all of the things that have taken place today while we were all at our usual avocations. Okay. So we are here to give you the things, the headlines, the news that you can use and help you all, those on the East Coast, with the drive at 5. So we're going to make it do what it do, like only we can. Y'all go ahead and hit the like button, share the video out. Y'all know YouTube ain't doing us no favors, none at all. So since the two of you ain't doing us no damn favors, y'all go ahead and help a brother out and hit the like button, share the video, do all of the things that you all normally do. Share the video on your social media, all of the things. Let me greet you all and we can get this party started. Hey, Jeannie, what's going on? Hey, friend, what is up? DPG, how are you? Tracy W, good to see you. Demetria, hey girl, hey. Thank you once again, Demetria, for your Cash App. I know you said the Cash App the other day. Thank you. I want to thank you publicly for doing that for me, my love, my doll, always supporting the platform. Thank you, my love. Hey, Universal Goddess, how you doing today, sweetie? Ravine is here. Hey, boo. Ravine, you got on any crimson and cream today? Crimson and cream love. Hey, Tamara, what is going on? Uncle Jay, how the hell are you? Hey, cross country cruiser. I'm glad to see you in the building. Terrence, what's good, bruh? You know, I noticed you've been busy the last couple of days. Janae said you've been busy the last couple of days. We just glad you were able to make it to class today. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and just slide your excused absent note on my desk. Just slide your excused absent note on my desk. I'll look at it later. Uh-huh. Hey, Janae, what's going on? Okay, girl, you gonna have to give us that story down to the members only chat, girl, because I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Hey, Candace F, how you doing today, boo? How are you today? Down to the DMV. Hey, Miss Bay Thing, you say you is on time today, and I'm glad you is on time. Hey, Jay is the gym. What's going on? Child, ain't nothing going on. We drinking our favorite flavor of Red Bull, the watermelon. Even though I'm a big fan of the new grapefruit because I love anything grapefruit, but this is still the GOAT, the watermelon. Mhm. We here to make it do what it do. If y'all ready to get this party started, go ahead and put a shondo in the chat and let me know that you're ready to get this party started. You in all black because it's Monday and and I'm in the office. Okay. Like, girl. Child. I don't remember the cranberry Miss Bay thing. Hey, little baby. Little baby, the people are still losing their minds. My timeline on my other, not my channel Instagram, but my personal Instagram is filled with nothing but Rattler Nation losing their minds. That and my Facebook, that's all up and down my timelines. Anyway, it looks like y'all are ready to get this party started. So let me go ahead and get this party started. Before we start with our sugar spike segment, we want to commemorate that today, May 19th, it would have been the 100th birthday of the late great Malcolm X. Malcolm X. Malcolm X would have been 100 years old today. And DPG, I got your story about Ashley Babbitt and her family. Matter of fact, I just got it. I just opened my email. Chow. You knew they was gonna give her some money. That family some money. Chow. Anyway, we celebrate the life of the late great Malcolm X, who would have been 100 years old today had he still been with us. Some of my favorite Malcolm X quotes, because I was a big fan of Malcolm X. I was all about the Malcolm X's and the Stokely Carmichaels of the world, who were all militant and about that life. Listen, these were the people who I was aligned with. Okay. He had a quote that said, "Be peaceful, be courteous, obey the law, respect everyone. But if someone puts his hands on you, send him to the cemetery." That's the shit that I'm on. That's what I'm about. He had another quote: "Sitting at the table doesn't make you a diner. You must be eating some of what's on that plate. Being here in America doesn't make you an American. Being born here in America doesn't make you an American." Great quotes. He had another quote that said, "Power doesn't back up in the face of a smile or in the face of a threat of some kind of nonviolent, loving action. It's not the nature of power to back up in the face of anything but some more power." Hello. He said, "What I want to know is how the white man with the blood of black people dripping off his fingers can have the audacity to be asking black people, do they hate him? That takes a lot of nerve." These are quotes from 60 plus years ago, okay? And they still fit to this day. The last one I got for y'all is where he said, quote, "Segregation is that which is forced upon an inferior by a superior. Separation is done voluntarily by two equals." End of quote. I'm here for the Malcolm X's of the world. I'm just going to be honest with you. Here for all of it. Hey, Symmetry. Hey, Chimera. Montrez, what's good, bruh? All of these quotes, you can lay them all out right now, some 60 plus years later, and they still resonate. But we celebrate the life and times of the late great Malcolm X. I might go back and watch the movie. I am Malcolm X. I am Malcolm X. I am Malcolm X. I am Malcolm X. I remember being a little boy watching the movie X, and me and my cousins, when we saw the movie, we would always watch that part at the end with all of those little kids saying, "I am Malcolm X." And we would just laugh our asses off. It was so funny. The little kids at the end saying, "I am Malcolm X" was just the funniest shit the world was. I don't know why. We were horrible people. We were horrible little people back then. Child, look at me. Look at Demetria. Look at her. Child. Now, as the story goes, Demetria, in his younger days, if I had enough coin, I could have paid him for some back when he was in his hoeing days, Back they don't want to tell that part of Malcolm X. Back in his hoeing days, where he was a male prostitute and used to sell his body. They don't want to tell you that part. That's the hush part. Child. Child. No. He was cute now, Demetria. He sure was cute. He was cute and all. Child. They don't want to hear that, DPG. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. Child. Ow. Child. That's the part that they tell you about. They don't tell you the part about him selling his own body. They ain't gonna tell you all them parts right there. Child. Y'all, you ain't miss much. We just getting this party started. We were celebrating the life and times of the great Malcolm X, who would have been 100 on today. We celebrate him. He is yet with the ancestors in the ancestral plane, looking down on us. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, non binary gender conforming members of our audience, I bring to you the late, great Larry Myers to help us usher in our Sugar Spike segment.
Oh, God. You see, this is the part that I like.
Major sugar spike.
So love the world. I want to fight. That he gave his only begotten son.
Major sugar spike.
And shall ever believe
Major sugar spike.
they shall not perish, but have everlasting life.
Taste the biscuit.
Jesus. Thank you, Larry. Hey, Morgan. You ain't got to whisper that, Janae. You do not have to whisper. Now, we love you, Martin. We love you down. But in the looks department, you ain't have nothing on Malcolm. Malcolm, we taking Malcolm every day of the week in the looks department, twice on Sunday before we take Martin. I'm just being honest, and we love you down, Martin. But it was Malcolm in terms of the looks department. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm sure Coretta saw your inner beauty. You know, there's a lot of theories, a little baby. I don't know if we'll ever have the full story. I don't know if we ever will. Hey, Tanya Boo. Child, we just getting started, Tanya. We was commemorating the life and times of Malcolm X on what would have been his 100th birthday. Child. Girl, I'm just saying. I be quiet as a skep. You know, they say Martin, for all that we saying right now, they say Martin kept him a few side pieces. Baby, they said Martin had to beat him off. They was all hot. Listen, they said that Martin had no shortage now. That's what they said. Now they say what you want. They said there was no shortage of the ladies down there trying to get their blocks beat in by Martin. I'm just saying. Nevertheless, here we are. Let me focus. focus. Let me focus. Okay. They made a movie about Martin's side piece. He had a few of them. What's the name of that movie? Child, I ain't seen that one. No, Tanya, we said it was Malcolm that could have got it. Martin, we was leaving off to the side, but Malcolm, yeah, we wanted all parts of Malcolm. I ain't never seen this movie though. Ravine. I didn't know they had a movie, child. What's the name of it? We might have to go watch it tonight. Give us something to watch. Girl. Hey, Lock Queen. Let me focus, okay? Child. You know what? Girl. I'm not doing this with y'all. Listen, I'm trying to focus. We got a whole dossier to get through today. Let me focus. Okay, we'll be here, Ravine. Don't worry. Ciao. While Ravine is going to get us today with this movie, we're going to focus and get through today's dossier, okay? So, in our first story today, In our headline story of the day, the Supreme Court allowed the Trump administration to strip legal protections from 350,000 Venezuelans, potentially exposing them to deportation. The court's order, with only one noted dissent, that being Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, puts on hold a ruling from a federal judge in San Francisco that kept in place temporary protected status for the Venezuelans that would have otherwise expired last month. The justices provided no rationale, which is common in emergency appeals. The status allows people already in the United States to live and work legally because their native countries are deemed unsafe for return due to natural disaster or civil strife. The High Court's order appears to be the, quote, single largest action in modern American history, stripping any group of non citizens of immigration status, end of quote. And that's according to Ilan Arulananthem, one of the attorneys for the Venezuelan migrants. Cecilia Gonzalez Herrera, who sued to try to stop the Trump administration from revoking legal protections from her and others like her, she said, quote, this decision will force families to be in an impossible position, either choosing to survive or choosing stability, end of quote. Now this comes after the Supreme Court ruled that the Trump administration couldn't use the Alien Enemies Act from 1798 against the Venezuelans. But although that was good, now today, and that just happened a couple days ago. Now today they come back and said, but you can remove TPS from them, so you can remove temporary protective status from them. So what does that mean? The Alien Enemies Act was something that was allowing them to put these people out of the country without without giving them due process, without having any notification to them at all. The temporary protective status was protecting the deportations altogether. So now they're saying, yeah, they can be deported, but you still have to go through due process. Here we are. I will abort for Donald Trump. Now listen, I am not one of these people that has this, because I have seen a lot of people who have this. I've seen a lot of black people and a lot of people in the political space that do that make content, or maybe influencers in the political space that are black. They seem to have this blanket disdain for Hispanic people and Latin Americans, as if all Hispanic people and all people of Latino descent voted for Trump. That is not true. I mean, if we're going strictly by statistics, statistics said that the majority of Latinx and Hispanic people voted for Kamala. You did have a large percentage of Latino men that voted for Trump, but still, the majority of Hispanics and Latinos voted for Kamala. Okay, and regardless if you know what I'm saying, regardless of how you feel, I just don't want to pile on people in their time of suffering, because that means that your turn is going to come and you don't want anybody piling on you in your time of suffering. Certainly, we wouldn't want to castigate the entirety of the black community because they said, what did they say? About 17-18% of black men voted for Donald John. What if they said, yeah, we're just going to attribute, we're going to say, yeah, they was over there voting for Trump because 17-18% of black men voted for him. I'm sure that the entirety of the black community would not like that. So I don't want us to castigate the entirety of the Latino, the Latinx and Hispanic diaspora because some people were fucking idiots. Let's be clear. Hey, Lady D. So now, Venezuelans, especially now, what we can do though is we can parcel out some segments within the Hispanic community. I will make a carve out for Venezuelans, specifically a lot of the Venezuelans down in South Florida, the ones in Broward. There's a large delegation of Venezuelans in Miami-Dade as well. Many of whom, now those community, that community, if we do a carve out there, a lot of them fuckers did vote for him because they were promised that they were going to have their own, version of white privilege and white supremacy. Okay. Now, them fuckers, we can carve them out. We absolutely the fuck can. Because y'all voted for this man and you believed the lie. Here we are. In more news, because the cruelty is the point. Well, the head lawyer of a human rights group representing the families of Venezuelan immigrants imprisoned in El Salvador after being deported from the United States. Well, the head lawyer, she's been arrested. The head lawyer that's representing all of these Venezuelan immigrants that they just wrongfully deported. Yeah, they said, yeah, let's go ahead and arrest her. Ruth Lopez, an outspoken critic of President Nayib Bukele, was detained late on Sunday under an order from the prosecutor's office, which accused her of embezzlement when she worked for an electoral court a decade ago. The prosecutor's office confirmed the arrest in a post on X, formerly known as Twitter. Mr. Lopez runs Cristosal's Anti-Corruption and Justice Division and has been a vocal critic of President Bukele's sweeping arrest of 85,000 mostly young men without due process under the state of exception that began in 2022. Neither Lopez's family nor her legal team knew where she was taken after police removed her from her home shortly before midnight on Sunday. The authorities' refusal to disclose her location or to allow access to her legal representatives is a blatant violation of due process, the right to legal defense, and international standards of judicial protection. End of quote. And that's according to the organization she worked for. The arrest is part of an accelerating government crackdown on civil society and the free press, as President Bukele of El Salvador is apparently emboldened by his close relationship to the Trump administration, which is paying El Salvador to hold deported immigrants in its prison system. Mm-hmm. Mm. Now, this happened over in El Salvador. Mm-hmm. Hey, Paul. Hey, Xavier. Hey, Harold. Listen. Oh, little baby, they done took over the I-4 corridor. And all of those Puerto Ricans that lived in Orlando, Tampa area of the I-4 corridor, all of them switched sides in the 2024 election. All of them, because the I-4 corridor used to be blue. All of them flipped and went Republican during this last presidential cycle. Moving on. In more news that's sliding under the radar that they don't want y'all to know about and hear about, and that's not getting enough press coverage, this happened and it's not being talked about a lot. An appeals court has cleared the way for Trump's executive order aimed at ending collective bargaining rights for hundreds of thousands of federal employees while a lawsuit plays out. The Friday ruling came after the Trump administration asked for an emergency pause on a judge's order blocking enforcement at roughly 36 agencies and departments. A split 3-judge panel in the nation's capital sided with government lawyers in a lawsuit filed by unions representing federal employees. The majority ruled on technical grounds, finding that the union doesn't have the legal right to sue because the Trump administration has said it won't end any collective bargaining agreements while the case is being litigated. Judge Karen Henderson, appointed by Republican Governor George H.W. Bush, and Judge Justin Walker, appointed by Trump, sided with the government, while Judge Michelle Childs, appointed by President Joseph Robinette, dissented. The government says Trump needs the executive order so his administration can cut the federal workforce to ensure strong national security. The law requiring collective bargaining creates exemptions for work related to national security, as in agencies like the FBI. Union leaders argue the order is designed to facilitate mass firings and exact, quote, political vengeance, end of quote, against federal unions opposed to Trump's efforts to dramatically downsize the federal government. His order seeks to expand the exemption to exclude more workers than any other president has before. That's according to the National Treasury Employees Union, which is suing to block the order. The administration has filed in a Kentucky court to terminate the collective bargaining agreement for the IRS, where many workers are represented by the National Treasury Employees Union. They say their IRS members aren't doing national security work. Other union employees affected by the order include the Health and Human Services Department, the Energy Department, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the Federal Communications Commission. So, what we have here is the lawsuit says wants to do away with the collective bargaining of any of the federal workers unions. Okay. Now, there was a ruling a few weeks back that said that while this is being litigated, the Trump administration cannot cannot stop the collective bargaining process, which is what they wanted to do. Well, this tribunal of judges said we'll go ahead and strike down that court order and allow a stoppage and pause in the collective bargaining while this is in litigation. Now, that means that you already have this trial going through to end all collective bargaining for federal workers, but now they can even stop it before there's an official final adjudication. So even while it's still in the courts being adjudicated, they have stopped and paused all collective bargaining, and these judges have upheld that. I don't understand how how these judges can say can strike down the ruling from the previous judge, because the previous judge said, "Hey, collective bargaining is already a part and built in to the federal workforce," and he said, the Trump administration said, "Well, we want to pause it," and they said, "No, while there's litigation, while this is working its way through the courts, it can continue because it was already a thing. It was already a part of the federal workforce." This tribunal, the Trump administration, appealed that lower judge's ruling that they could not stop or pause collective bargaining. And this tribunal basically said, "Yeah, we'll agree. We agree that with the Trump administration that they should be allowed to pause or stop collective bargaining for federal workers." Once again, giving it to federal workers in the worst way. Let's be clear. Let's be clear here, people. The attack on federal workers is a direct attack on Black people. I keep trying to tell you all Black people make up somewhere between 30 and 40% of the federal workforce. Black people don't even make up that much of the American population. And the federal government is the only entity in the country where the numbers are that way. The only large major corporation that hires people where black people make up that large of a percentage of the workforce. They knew this going in. And so this direct attack on the federal workforce is a direct attack on black people. And now you have thousands and thousands and thousands of black people who had what they thought to be secure jobs. I just listen. These the whole process of even applying for a government job is like, trying to grow wings and fly over the moon, because that takes, a long time to even get hired for these jobs. But the fact that now these people who thought they had what would be very stable and secure jobs, all of these people are now out of a job. They don't have a job. They don't have a job. Candace F said a lot of people who took the buyouts were white. We still at work. I'm thinking about all of those probationary people who they let go. I'm just saying. So, and this is something that's not being talked about. This is being swept under the rug. There are other things going on. Hey, LMV, there are other things that is taking the limelight, but I did want to carve out some time to speak to this because this is directly affecting black people. What is happening to the federal employees is an attack on black America, which is why that's another one of the things. Y'all know I'm going to beat this drum until I'm blue in the face. That's another one of the reasons why we have to be in the fight. We cannot check out. All of this is our fight. This is affecting us. In more news, well, see, the problem is stuff like this is what's getting the headlines instead of the previous story that we just did, which directly affects us, which is so important, and which affects the lives and livelihoods of hundreds of thousands of black people. We want to concentrate on this. This is what people are blathering about and bloviating about. This is what people are screaming about instead of concentrating on real substantive things that these people are doing. Let me get through this real quick. Your president, occupant Trump, the man who's occupying the White House, occupant Trump is pressing for a quote major investigation end of quote into why some celebrities lined up to support former Vice President Kamala Harris in the 2024 election, questioning whether megastars Bruce Springsteen, Beyonce, Oprah Winfrey, and Bono were illegally paid for their endorsements under the guise of performance fees. Quote, how much did Kamala Harris pay Bruce Springsteen for his poor performance during her campaign for president? Why did he accept that money if he is such a fan of hers? Isn't that a major and illegal campaign contribution? What about Beyonce? Beyonce didn't perform, stupid ass. And how much went to Oprah and Bono? End of quote. He wrote that on his Truth Social this morning. Mind you, the election was what, 5 or 6 months ago? Like, more than that, by 6-7 months ago now. Sir, get over it. He went on to say, quote, I'm going to call for a major investigation into this matter. Candidates aren't allowed to pay for endorsements, which is what Kamala did under the guise of paying for entertainment. In addition, this was a very expensive and desperate effort to artificially build up sparse crowds. It's not legal. For these unpatriotic entertainers, this was just a corrupt and unlawful way to capitalize on a broke system. Thank you for your attention to this matter. End of quote. Listen, I literally do not have the energy. I don't. I literally don't. Remember, they were saying that Oprah was paid during the election, and Oprah came right out and said, I wasn't paid a fucking dime. Remember that? Remember they tried this during the election cycle, and she came right out and said, I didn't get a goddamn dime. I don't have the I promise you I don't have the energy. I don't. Now, if we want to go down this road, what about the fact that Nelly told us you paid him? What about the fact that Snoop Dogg told us you paid him? Since we want to talk about some shit, what about those fuck bitches that you paid? Where's the investigation into them hoes? Huh? What did you have Soldier Boy and wasn't Rick Ross over there? Soldier Boy and Nelly and Snoop Dogg. Didn't you pay them fuckers? Because they came right out and said, I got broke off. Let's talk about it. Now, the dangerous thing is what we've seen from this administration. This man wakes up, has these thoughts, ideas, and ideations, and posts it on his Truth Social, and the shit sounds way out in left field and far-fetched. A day or two later, actual things start to happen in our federal government to enact whatever crazy idea he had. Like, these aren't just the ideations of some lunatic down to the loony bin. Things that this man actually conjures up in that wasted ass wasteland that is his cranium actually starts to get put into practice and operation down to the federal government. So if you think that it's far-fetched for this to actually happen, an investigation to take place, hold your horses, because we've seen this over and over. I'm just saying. But here we go. Here we are. Here the fuck we are. Maybe this will wake up the Beehive people and help them, hopefully, wake up and figure out that there's a whole situation going on in this country right now. Let me move on. I saw this story earlier today, and I want to talk about this, and I want to. Today is May 19th in the year of our Lord 2025, and I have a prediction for you all. Let me read this story, then I'll go with my prediction. Unfortunately, I'm telling you, it's not a good prediction, but let me read my story, and we'll go to this, okay? Voter optimism on the direction of the country has ticked up in new polling, signaling attitudes may be bouncing back after Trump's controversial tariff moves roiled global markets. A new Harvard Caps Harris survey found 42% of voters said the country is on the right track, up 3 points from last month and 16 points from November. The number was still underwater, though, as 49% said the country is headed in the wrong direction. Roughly a third, or 34% of voters said their personal financial situation was improving, up 2 points from April. Another 39% said their situation was getting worse, down 6 points to the lowest share recorded by pollsters since October 2021. 51% of voters categorized the economy as strong, a jump of 5 points from April. I don't need to read no more. Let me tell you, let me give y'all my prediction, okay? Let me give you my prediction. Not it gives you PTSD. Hey, Shay, let me give y'all my prediction. Today is May 19th in the year of our Lord, 2025. Now, I'm going to point back to me saying this, y'all. I am going to point back to this day when I said this. And I hate to make these predictions because they always end up being right. We're going to get to the midterms and the 2028 election. And just before the election take place, you'll see gas prices go down. You'll allegedly see all of these great poll numbers. You'll see this excellent jobs report, and all of these things in the 6 weeks leading up to the next midterm and the next presidential election cycles will happen. And we have to remember that we live amongst a group of people who have short-term memories, very short-term memories. And what's going to happen is, because the other side, weak, feckless ass Dems, still ain't gotten a fight, still ain't out here with the right messaging, still ain't out here giving body blows to this motherfucker. They over there just taking it. They ain't putting up no fight. They're putting up no counter messaging or anything to really tell the American public that we're in a fucking dumpster fire. And because of that, when we get to fucking next fall of 2026, in and around the time of the midterms, things are going to magically look up and people will have revisionist history. And what you're going to have is people vote for those people again. Let's be clear. The American public voted for this man to have a second term. This is after over 1 million people died during his first term. Let me say that again. He is responsible. He and his administration during the first term were responsible for more than 1 million people losing their lives to COVID when they did not have to. And these people, black, white, blue, and purple alike, have this revisionist history about the world being great when he was in office. I had more money back then. Wait, what? More than 1 million people died, lost their lives. People had to bury their loved ones and couldn't even go to the funeral. Meanwhile, he was telling you all to inject yourselves with fucking Clorox bleach. So I'm telling you, these people are going to have revisionist history, short-term memories, and magically they're going to say, oh, we're doing so much better right now, and they're going to vote for the other side. Why? Because the Dems and the people on the left are doing nothing. Now is the time to be messaging. Now is the time to be kicking and screaming. Now is the time to continue to let the people of this country know that we're living in a fucking dumpster fire, and they're not doing that. And the other side is not fucking built for this shit. The Dems are not built for this shit. Them hoes are soft and weak as fuck and like to try to play victim. What they don't understand is, I keep saying, their fight is not with the Republican Party. The Democrats' fight is with the couch, is with the internet, and with people's cell phones, because they're not going to get up and go vote for you people. Why would they? Why would they? I'm telling you, mark my words, I'm telling you all, this is going to happen. Hey, it's always sunny. I'm telling y'all this is going to happen. It's not going to happen, Cymera. It's not going to happen. Demetria, so many of us lost family members because of COVID and because of this man's administration not wanting to do anything. And what's even more scary, you actually had people in the administration that kind of tried to stop or tried to lean him in the right direction. But now they've gutted the NIH. They've gutted the CDC. We had the storms that happened last week. There are reports that the Weather Service had to try to find forecasters and people that could help them forecast the storms that were going through Missouri and Kentucky because everybody was fucking fired. These people want to dismantle FEMA. They're gutting the CDC. They've gutted the National Weather Service. They've gutted NOAA. They have literally set us up for destruction. And so if another pandemic comes, God forbid, we have a few more Category 5 hurricanes, a few dozen more EF5 or EF4 or 5 tornadoes run through the Midwest. We're not prepared for that. They're already saying weather forecasting is already down. The National Weather Service has already said they cannot provide us with the same level of weather forecasting because they fucking fired everybody. But with all and you would think y'all got everything in the world, Democrats, with which to get messaging out, with which to fight this, with which to scream from the rooftops that we are living in a fucking dumpster fire. And these bastards are over here like, well, we have to fight with the tools in our arsenal. Like, this is the literal way that they're talking about the fact there's no sense of urgency. There's no sense of urgency from the other side. So why would the American public think that if you cannot project that we are in a state of emergency, if you don't have a sense of urgency, if there's no exigence that you have shown, if you haven't shown that this is a moment of exigence for the American people, why should they even be the fuck bothered? Like, this is a scary, scary notion. Because now you got, hey, Angela, because now you got people, hey, Chef Don, because now you have people, the numbers are saying, oh, well, it's not that bad. Oh, well, it hasn't really affected me. I promise y'all, these people are going to be checked the fuck out. And some people, huge swaths of our American electorate, when you tell them to check out and they find something else to do, they're not going to check back in. They're not. The vast majority, they're not going to check back in until it's way too late. That's like, and I saw Little Baby, and I know Little Baby is in the chat. That's like the situation at FAMU. The situation at FAMU, the time for them to be screaming from the rooftops is when Ron DeSantis changed that whole board of trustees some time ago. The time to scream was way back when. See, when it's time for people to be involved early on, they're not involved. But if you kick the can down the road, by the time you do get vested in, it's too late. Parameters have already been set up so that you can lose, and there's nothing you can do. So now, when the Category 5 hurricanes runs through the Southeast and rips apart major cities, it's going to be too late because they've already gutted NOAA and the National Weather Service. When the next pandemic comes and we have hundreds of thousands of people getting sick and or dying, it's going to be too late. They've already gutted the NIH and the CDC and the FDA. Remember how they had to try to do a quick emergency approval of the COVID vaccines? That's only because we had people at the FDA that could actually do it. Those people ain't there no more. Like everything is already set up. And it's such a scary thing now. It's such a scary thing. We're talking about having a fucking Secretary of Health and Human Services who I fear could put stuff out saying no vaccine. I could see them saying vaccines are illegal. And y'all think that sounds hyperbolic or sounds like a stretch, but we have a fucking Secretary of Health and Human Services that could absolutely come out with a statement and have an executive order signed by this president outlawing vaccines. I'm telling you that shit could happen. Hell, Florida has a Surgeon General that was telling people not to get vaccinated. The Surgeon General for the state of Florida, the third largest state in this country, was actively, we did that report, we reported on that on his channel. He was actively telling people do not get vaccinated and don't wear masks. These people will put people in positions to do their bidding. But here we are. Mark my words. I said it here on May 19th, 2025. When these midterm elections come and the fucking presidential elections come, these people are going to have revisionist history. They're going to have a very short-term history, and they're going to go and either not vote at all or vote for these fucktards again. Listen, Harold, we're talking about them saying you no longer have to have your children vaccinated for schools. I'm telling you. And diseases that were supposed to have been eradicated will start to come back. You see they real quiet about measles, and we're already over 1,000 measles cases in the country already. They're saying that we could have more cases of measles this year than we have had in the last 3 to 4 years combined. Combined. But they're real quiet about that. Let me move on. I before I spike out. God help me. I didn't mean to spike out like that, y'all. I really did not. I know y'all hate when I have these spike outs, but sometimes I just be feeling it. I apologize. I'm sorry. Sometimes I just have to say it how I feel it. And sometimes I just be spiking out. God. Just be spiking out sometimes. Yeah, Tommy Tuberville is running for governor, and he's gonna fuck that shit up. Listen, Harold, Demetria, just get the hell out of Dodge, okay? Get out of. If Tommy Tuberville is running, and he's probably gonna win, get out of there, please, please. Harold, Demetria, everybody in Alabama, if you black, please get out of there. Get out now. Tommy Tuberville is running, and he's going to win. Please get out of there now. Please. We love y'all, and we can't have that happen to y'all. Please get out of there. Harold, you could just go on down there to where little baby at. You know, go. I mean, even North Florida will be safer than in Alabama, governed by Tommy Tuberville. Okay? Demetria, you can slide over to Georgia. It ain't gonna be as bad as Tommy Tuberville is the governor. Yeah. Girl, Demetria, we're gonna have to keep you in our prayers. We're gonna have to send our people out there. We're gonna have to send our hitters out there to protect you, girl. We don't worry, we got some hitters, Demetria. We're gonna send our hitters out there, okay? Child. Thank you, Angela. Child. I'd be like, when I watch myself, I'd be like, El Teddy, you really did not have to go off on that tangent and just spike the fuck out like that, okay? I just be spiking out, y'all. I just be feeling it. And I get passionate. I have to talk about this shit. Lord. Okay, El Teddy, focus. All right. So, girl. So, that young lady you see right there, that's Wendy McMahon. She is, and now I can say, or was the CEO of CBS News. Well, she announced today that she's resigning after 4 years. And this is news outlets are saying that this is the latest fallout at CBS News as its parent company considers settling a lawsuit with Donald Trump and his administration over a 60 Minutes interview with his former political opponent. Miss McMahon, who has led the network news division and news for the CBS owned stations, said in an email message to the staff that, quote, "It's been clear that the company and I do not agree on the path forward. It's time to move on and for this organization to move forward with new leadership," end of quote. She had made clear she opposes settling with Trump, just like 60 Minutes executive producer Bill Owens, who quit last month. We did the story on that too. Now we know that your president has sued CBS, alleging it edited an interview with 2024 Democratic opponent Kamala Harris last fall to benefit her. CBS News has denied that. CBS's parent company, Paramount Global, is in talks to potentially settle with the Trump administration, with Donald Trump. At the same time, Paramount Global is seeking administration approval of a merger with Skydance Media. George Cheeks, co-CEO of Paramount and head of the CBS network, said McMahon's top deputies, CBS News President Tom Sabrowski and CBS station's president Jennifer Mitchell, will report directly to him. Ms. McMahon, in her note, said that, quote, the past few months have been challenging. I have spent the last few months shoring up our business and making sure the right leaders are in place, and I have no doubt they will continue to set the standard. End of quote. Listen, y'all. Listen. These news outlets are all owned and governed by people that are acolytes and sycophants of Donald John. They paid millions of dollars into his campaign. Now, you may have some of the people in charge of some of the subsidiaries, like Miss McMahon, like our girl who resigned. I can't think of her name right now. She was the president of MSNBC. The black woman whose name I can't remember right now, but we reported on her resigning. All of these people at that level, they understand real journalism. They understand what's happening to the media and the press, and they're not here for it. Okay? But the C-suites at the top of the food chain are aligned with Donald John. These people are all billionaires, excuse me. And they have an axe to grind. They have deals that they're trying to do. Paramount is trying to buy Skydance, and they need the Trump administration to approve this merger. So they're going to bend the knee, acquiesce, and go full bohica to the Trump administration. Thank you, Rashida Jones. Thank you, Miss Shorty B. Even if that means that real journalism and the freedom of the press is thwarted. Even if all of real and clear journalism is stifled and hindered, that does not mean anything as long as they can get their business deals done. They don't give a shit about reporting on what's going on. They will turn themselves into propaganda networks for this administration, which is why you hear me keep screaming from the rooftop. You have to, at this point, go and support independent media sources. Support individuals who are giving you information that you know is real, that is credible, and that is not just giving you propaganda from this administration. Hey, Catherine Powell. I'm just saying. Moving on. Well, Rainbow Coalition Compound. This is supposed to be a good story. However, it's never always good. I have to always give a warning, okay? But this is supposed to be I'm starting by saying this is supposed to be a good story, okay? Now, who you see there on your screen, to your left, that's Texas State Representative Dade Phelan, Texas State Representative Ann Johnson, and in the middle, and then on the right, the guy with the alpha blazer on, God help him, is Texas State Representative Vinton Jones Jr. Now, they are the co-sponsors of a bill that would repeal Texas's sodomy law. Okay. Now, the Texas House of Representatives took a preliminary vote this past Thursday, in favor of repealing the state's anti-sodomy laws, which has been unenforceable since the U.S. Supreme Court decision in which was Lawrence v. Texas in 2003, which outlawed sodomy laws, which outlawed anti-sodomy laws. Okay. The repeal bill, which is House Bill 1738, must be approved by the House once again before the Texas Senate votes. It's unclear when the next House vote will be, and the Senate's companion bill has not received a committee hearing. Thursday's House vote was 72 to 55, according to news outlets. This marks the farthest a repeal bill has progressed. The Texas anti-sodomy law, along with others still existing in the nation, was struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court in the Lawrence v. Texas court decision in 2003. I want y'all to, let me put a note on that, okay? Hey, kiddos, for my young people down to the Rainbow Coalition compound, okay? It wasn't until the year of our Lord 2003 that sodomy laws were officially, that anti-sodomy laws, were officially struck down by the Supreme Court. Let me say that again. It wasn't until 2003 until the Supreme Court struck down all anti-sodomy laws with the Lawrence v. Texas decision in 2003. Before that, it was illegal to be gay in most of America. You know what? I looked this up just for today. Here are the states that right now, there are still 12 states that have anti-sodomy laws on the books right now, which means if the if the Supreme Court strikes down or reverses the Lawrence v. Texas decision, all of these states immediately go back to having sodomy laws, and it will be illegal to be gay in these states. Let me tell you the states. We have Michigan still has anti-sodomy laws on the books. Massachusetts still has anti-sodomy laws on the books. Kentucky, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Florida. Did I say Kentucky too? Yeah, Kentucky. But Florida too. All of those states right now have anti-sodomy laws. Let me say that again. That means if for some reason, we know we have the Supreme Court right now that could easily have the temperament, just like women thought that we could never have abortion's rights repealed. And here we are today. Members of the Rainbow Coalition compound do not believe that this cannot happen, because we have a Supreme Court that still, yes, Alabama is not one of them, Harold. We have a Supreme Court that has a temperament to do shit like this, okay? So, if that gets repealed, immediately the laws on the books are enforceable. Immediately. Just like we had Roe v. Wade, which usurped any state laws. But when Roe v. Wade went away, and if those states still had abortion laws on the anti-abortion laws on the books, guess what? That was law of the land immediately. Immediately. I'm telling y'all better wake up. The girls in Atlanta over here thinking, oh, listen, we good. Baby, listen. Sodomy laws are still on the books in Georgia. The only thing keeping them from being enacted is goddamn anti-sodomy laws are still on the books. Only thing keeping them from being enacted is the fact that we have the Lawrence v. Texas decision in 2003. I went through my whole life, high school and college, and there were still sodomy laws on the books in the state that I lived in. It was still illegal to be gay. Illegal. Just telling you what I know. But we'll see if this makes it through the Texas legislature. I'm not I don't know. I don't know if this will make it through and the anti-sodomy laws will be repealed, but we'll see. We'll see. Um so this story is another story where I have to speak someone's name. This young man's name is Genoa Donald, Jenoah. Last name Donald, Donald. His name is Genoa Donald. Let me read this to you. Officials in a southwestern county in Washington state agreed this week to pay $3.5 million payout to settle a federal lawsuit filed by the family of a black autistic man who was fatally shot by a deputy during a 2021 traffic stop. The family of Genoa Donald filed the complaint in 2022 against Clark County and several deputies and sheriff's office employees, alleging wrongful death, assault and battery, negligence, and deprivation of civil rights. In February 2022, Donald was pulled over by Clark County Sheriff's Deputy Sean Boyle for a faulty tail light. The family's suit states that's according to the family's lawsuit. Shortly before the traffic stop, deputies heard about, quote, suspicious activity, end of quote, in the area near a reported drug house. Excuse me. Two deputies ended up joining uh, Deputy Boyle at the stop, one of whom said they thought they saw a weapon in Donald's car that turned out to be a screwdriver. Donald was unarmed. According to the suit, when Deputy Boyle asked Donald to step out of the car, Donald did not immediately respond. Deputy Boyle then tried to pull him out of the car and punched him in the nose in the process. As Deputy Boyle struggled with Donald, the vehicle's gear shifted, causing the car to lurch forward. Deputy Boyle reacted to the gear shift by shooting Donald twice. One of the bullets struck him in the head. He died a week later in the hospital. He was 30 and left behind 3 children. His family members said he was on the autism spectrum and had dyslexia and ADHD. In July of 2021, the Clark County Prosecutor's Office conducted an independent review that determined that Deputy Boyle acted lawfully and that Donald's vehicle could be considered a weapon if it shifted gears and began rolling forward. The family argued in the suit that the stop altogether was unlawful, citing a 1999 Washington Supreme Court case that found it unconstitutional for police to use a traffic stop as an excuse to investigate suspected criminal activity. The complaint also stated that deputies used excessive force against Donald, citing Clark County's alleged history of not properly training officers on non-lethal de-escalation methods. We've reported on 2 or 3 situations from Clark County in Washington, D.C., where they've killed black men. The county's settlement with Donald's family happened weeks before a civil rights trial for the case was set to begin in Seattle in June. In a statement about the May 14th settlement, Clark County spokesperson Joni McAnally told news outlets that the county, quote, continues to deny liability for this unfortunate incident, end of quote. Sheriff John Horsch also released a statement saying, quote, we never want to see an incident that results in the loss of another person's life, and any loss of life is tragic. In this situation, deputies responded according to training and state law to protect themselves and others. Both the independent investigation and the independent prosecutorial review concluded that the decision to use deadly force was justifiable and done in good faith under state law, end of quote. Deputy Boyle, the guy who shot Genoa Donald, is still employed with the Clark County Sheriff's Office. Let me say that again. Deputy Boyle is still employed with the Clark County Sheriff's Office. A mess. A mess. Yeah, this is in the state of Washington, not Washington D.C. Thank you, DPG. This is Washington State, but I know we've done at least three, reported on three stories from Clark County, Washington, in the state of Washington. I know we have. Moving on, in our last sugar spiky story of the day, that right there is the mayor of Colorado Springs, Colorado, Yemi Mobilade. Now, let me read this to you. In the run-up to the 2023 mayoral election in Colorado Springs, a racial slur was scrawled across the black candidate's sign, and a cross set on fire in front of it. It was a stunt to generate sympathy and support for the black candidate, Yemi Mobilade, prosecutors have said, but two people accused of staging it are set to go on trial Monday, charged with making a threat against him. Mayor Mobilade, the city's first black mayor, is scheduled to testify in the case as a victim, according to court documents. But one of the defendants claims the mayor himself was a participant in the plan to help him win, and the defendant's attorneys say their alleged actions were political theater, free speech that is constitutionally protected and wasn't meant to cause harm. Quote, this is a hoax in every sense of the word. End of quote. And that's what defendant Ashley Blackcloud told the Associated Press. She said Mayor Mobilade knew in advance about their plans to burn the cross, but she would not comment further, citing a court order that bars discussing information gathered in the case before the trial. Ms. Blackcloud, who is indigenous and black, said the stunt was not intended to hurt anyone. Mayor Mobilade has previously denied any involvement emphatically. A city spokesperson, Vanessa Zink, said the mayor did not want to make any additional comment. The second defendant, Miss Blackcloud's husband, Derek Bernard, is serving a life sentence after being convicted last year of ordering the killing of a rapper in Colorado Springs. The man charged with carrying out the killing was recently acquitted, and Derek Bernard is appealing his conviction. Messages left for the attorneys for Ms. Blackcloud have not been returned. However, in motions to dismiss the case, they pointed out that the cross was set on fire in the middle of the night, which no one other than the defendants apparently saw. They are, however, accused of spreading word about it in emails to the media and others that include images of the scene. They are charged with using a means of interstate commerce, the internet, and email to make a threat and conveying false information about an attempt to intimidate Mobilade with a fire. They are also both charged with being part of a conspiracy to do that. They have pleaded not guilty. According to jury instructions in the case, prosecutors must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Bernard and Mrs. Blackcloud intended Mayor Mobilade to fear that violence would result in order for them to be found guilty. Earlier this month, U.S. District Judge Regina M. Rodriguez ruled that the alleged actions are not ones that are clearly protected by the First Amendment, which would have required her to dismiss the case. Quote, it is up to the jury to determine whether the cross burning was a true threat or merely political speech. End of quote, the judge wrote. A third person indicted in the alleged scheme, Deanna West, pleaded guilty in March to one count of being part of a conspiracy to set fire and then spread false information about it under a plea agreement with prosecutors. According to that agreement, her lawyer and government prosecutors agreed that the conspiracy's goal was to interfere in the campaign of Mayor Mobolade's opponent and create the belief that Mayor Mobolade was being discouraged from running because of his race. Ms. West is also scheduled to testify for the government. According to the indictment, Mr. Bernard communicated with Mayor Mobolade before the cross burning on April 23rd, 2023, and after Mayor Mobolade won the election in a May 6, 2023 runoff. About a week before the cross burning, Mr. Bernard told the then candidate in a Facebook message that he was, quote, mobilizing my squadron in defense and for the final push. Black Ops style, big brother. The Klan cannot be allowed to run this city again. End of quote. They spoke for about 5 minutes on the telephone 3 days after the incident. In a video statement posted on social media in December, Mayor Mobolade said he had fully cooperated with the investigation and had been truthful with law enforcement. Y'all, this is a whole mess. This is a whole mess. They're saying that the black man was in cahoots with these other black people to put this cross up there to make it look like, to give people sympathy for this black man so he could win. Apparently it worked, he won. But now one of the people that pled guilty, 2 other people said, we was put up to this by the mayor. This is a whole situation. Child. When I read this case, I was like, oh, y'all got a lot going on. I'll monitor the situation to see how this pans out. But this seems like something that's made for that's made for TV. Anyway, here's your update on the Diddy trial. Let me lubricate my throat because this requires a lot of reading. Actually, this does not. So here's the update. This is coming from AP News, Associated Press. Singer Don Richard told jurors at Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking trial on Monday that the hip-hop mogul threatened to kill her if she told anyone she saw him physically abusing his longtime girlfriend. She testified that Combs made the threat the day after she witnessed him punch and kick Cassie after taking a swing at her with a skillet. She said he told Cassie and another woman who saw the attack that, quote, we could go missing, in the quote, if they didn't stay quiet. Assistant U.S. Attorney Mitzi Steiner asked Don Richard what she took, quote, we could go missing, end of quote, to mean. Don Richard replied, quote, that we could die, end of quote, saying she was shocked because all of this happened just as she was beginning to record with Diddy. That was when she was they started that group Dirty Money. She disclosed that the alleged threat as she reclosed the alleged threat as she returned to the witness stand to kick off the second week of testimony in the trial. Before the end of the day, Cassie's best friend of 17 years and former personal assistant to Combs testified that she felt trapped as prosecutors tried to uncover proof that Combs was operating a criminal racketeering organization that relied on employees to help him control Cassie and other women in his life. Testimony about Combs' beatings of Cassie came with hardly a mention of the drug-fueled freak-offs that dominated testimony last week. When Cassie explained over 4 days how her wish for a loving relationship with Combs led instead to her weekly sexual performances with male sex workers that left her too exhausted to pursue her musical career. Now, according to the AP News, Dawn says she witnessed Diddy beat his girlfriend frequently when he, quote, would punch her, choke her, drag her, slap her in the mouth. I quote, I also saw him kick her, punch her in the stomach, end of quote. Dawn said the beatings came when Cassie spoke up for herself. Quote, if she had an opinion about something, end of quote. She said that Dawn said that Diddy's staff, including the bodyguards, also witnessed violence, but they, quote, wouldn't react. They wouldn't do anything, end of quote. Dawn supported Cassie's testimony that Diddy had stifled Cassie's fledgling singing career, saying she heard Combs tell Cassie that he, quote, owned her, end of quote, and that any success she had would be on his terms. Dawn said Diddy would get mad, sometimes violent, when she and other artists offered to help Cassie write songs. Defense lawyer Nicole Westmoreland suggested that Dawn was testifying because she was angry at Combs for ending Danity Kane and Diddy Dirty Money, and because she has a pending lawsuit against him. Diddy's lawyer said, quote, you felt that Mr. Combs ruined your career not once, but twice, end of quote. Dawn Richard replied, yes. She contended, though, that she was sad, not angry, over the end of the groups and is suing Combs because he mistreated her and withheld her earnings. Cassie's former best friend also testified today. After Dawn's testimony was over, Carrie Morgan then testified. She said she was Cassie's longtime best friend until they had a falling out after she suffered a concussion when Diddy choked her and slung a wooden hanger at her in 2018 when he came to Cassie's Los Angeles home, enraged that Cassie was dating someone else. Carrie Morgan said she was going to sue Diddy, but Cassie met her at a pizza parlor and had her sign an NDA in return for $30,000 from Combs while accusing her of, quote, milking and over-exaggerating, end of quote, the attack. Morgan and Cassie both testified that they haven't spoken since. Miss Morgan, a reluctant witness who acknowledged that she only testified in response to a government subpoena, said she saw Combs beat Cassie at least twice, including once so severely on a trip to Jamaica when Combs became angry that Cassie was taking too long in the bathroom that she thought her friend had been, quote, knocked out, end of quote. She said she encouraged Cassie to break up with him after realizing that they were confident women, that the very confident woman she had met in 2001 during modeling gigs and who roomed with her for a time had, quote, lost her spark, end of quote, and had assumed a slumped posture as she catered to Combs' needs. But she said Cassie was reluctant to leave Combs. Quote, he controlled everything. She would have lost all of her livelihood, end of quote, Miss Morgan said, noting that Combs paid for Cassie's car and apartment and had her under contract with Bad Boy. Cassie testified last week that although she continued to go to the recording studio and work on songs, Combs refused to release them. Miss Morgan testified saying, quote, he was in charge of her career, end of quote, adding that Cassie sometimes expressed frustration that her music wasn't being released. David James also testified. He served as a personal assistant for Diddy from 2007 to 2009. He started crying as he testified that when he interviewed for the job, one of Diddy's lieutenants pointed to a photo of Combs on the wall and told him, quote, this is Mr. Combs' kingdom. We're all here to serve him, end of quote. Mr. James's employment coincided with the early days of Cassie and Diddy's relationship. He recalled her being astonished and perhaps overwhelmed by Diddy's high-flying, globe-trotting ways. Quote, Man, this lifestyle is crazy. End of quote. He recalled Cassie saying as they smoked cigarettes on a dock with her then best friend Morgan. Mr. James, who will return to the stand tomorrow, said he suggested Cassie leave Combs if she was uncomfortable, to which he said she replied, quote, I can't get out. You know, Mr. Combs oversees so much of my life, end of quote. Mr. James recalled talking to Combs on another occasion about the woman in his life. Combs, he said, described his long-term girlfriend, Kim Porter, the mother of some of his children, as, quote, my queen, end of quote. When the subject turned to Cassie, Mr. James testified that Combs told him, quote, she's good. I got her right where I want her. She's young, end of quote. Mr. James also testified that he recalled Mr. Combs describing Cassie as, quote, very moldable, end of quote. And that's your update. Those are the highlights of the Diddy trial from today. Thank you, DPG, for your Cash App. I'll stock up on the Red Bull. I got you. I appreciate that, DPG. Thank you so much for your contribution. That's your Diddy update for the day. So Jamal Roberts won American Idol. Was it yesterday or was it Saturday? When was the finale, y'all? I don't know when the finale was. I stopped watching American Idol like the season. The last time I remember watching it was when Jordan Sparks was on there. But he's only the second black male to win this to win American Idol. We know the first one was Ruben Studdard. Now, believe it or not, I didn't vote for Ruben Studdard. I was a part of Clay Nation. I voted for Clay Aiken. I didn't really care for Ruben Studdard like that, so I voted for Clay Aiken. But Ruben Studdard won season 2, and we're all the way some 21 seasons, 21 years later, and we just got our second black male winner. Kudos to him. Kudos to him. We're happy for him. You know, he had his daughters and stuff. His daughters and his wife. He got he has 3 daughters. Harmony, she's 6, Lyric, who's 4, and he got a newborn named Gianna. We happy for him. We're rooting for all of the black people. I'm just saying. I mean, shout out to him. I seen a couple, it was last night. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Harold, because I don't watch American Idol. Let's just be clear. I don't watch it. But I'm happy for him. I done seen some clips of him singing, and he could sing. He could really sing. So I really like, you know, his voice and his singing. And I'm glad he won. Congratulations. In our last story of the day, so Sky Jackson has been granted a temporary restraining order from her baby daddy, DeAndre Bergen. She says that her baby daddy has been terrorizing her for more than a year. But the last straw, according to news outlets, was his assault on her on Mother's Day, this past Mother's Day. So she was granted this restraining order. She claims that DeAndre Bergen, her baby daddy, attacked her on Mother's Day as she was holding their a baby boy who's only 3 years old. According to the court documents, he grabbed Sky by her hair, slammed her head against a car window, and punched her in the face. She claims that this kind of violence is nothing new. In the court document, she described a 6-month period in 2024 when he would abuse her on a weekly basis, choking and scratching her and slamming her head into a wall. She alleges that he also damaged a bunch of personal property, like an iPhone and a television. While she was pregnant, she claims that he demanded she drink bleach to kill the unborn the unborn child. He that could have killed her as well. He held her at knife point. She says that he also held her at knife point as he walked her to her car and threatened to stab her in the stomach if she yelled for help. On another occasion last summer, she alleges that he punched through a bathroom door and had locked herself inside. Um, that she had locked herself inside of and slammed her against the wall and quote choked me until I could not breathe. End of quote. She says she has video to back up that claim. Now he's had a lot of legal troubles. They say he was arrested last month on an outstanding warrant. And when Sky gave birth in January, he was doing a 90-day jail time for parole violation. She claims that he owns 3 firearms, including a rifle, and she clearly fears for her life. She's asked the judge to keep him 100 yards away from her, their baby, and their dog, and that's according to the restraining order. Baby, if he got rifles and stuff, you might need more than 100 yards away, baby. You might need a couple miles away. Child. Yeah, Ruben is touring with Clay. Ruben and Clay been touring the last couple years. They've been touring together. But listen, Sky, I need for you to have he just looked like a derelict of society. When you look at pictures of him, he was beneath you from the time you got with him. You should have known that. Where's your uncles or brothers, or where's the men in your family? Because I promise you, the way my family would have rolled up on old boy, baby, the way he couldn't have been in your presence 24 hours a day. Baby, when bruh went to the stove, when bruh went off, when he went to sleep, baby, we would have had a reenactment of the movie The Burning Bed. Who was it? Was that Mary Baxter Burney? That was in The Burning Bed back in the 80s? Baby, listen, the way the men in my family would have rained down on this fucktard, huh? Baby, listen. I know my family. Baby, you threatening to stab her in the stomach? You beating her head against the wall and shit? Oh no, ma'am. Oh no, ma'am. No, ma'am. Oh no, ma'am. Mm-mm. 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 We ain't doing that. We are not doing that. Not. So, listen. But Xavier, this is not a new phenomenon. This has been going on since the annals of time. Like, this is not new. That was Farrah Fawcett. Thank you. Farrah Fawcett. Thank y'all. That was Farrah Fawcett in The Burning Bed. So what was Mary Baxter Burney in? I don't know. But y'all right, that was Farrah Fawcett. But yeah, this is not nothing that's new, Xavier. This has been going on since time immemorial, where some of these women they deal with abuse from men. And I just listen, I don't know how they do it. Let me help you understand something. The way that I'm built, baby, baby, you got one time. And I don't even think you got that one time. Baby, if you lift your hand up like you finna hit me, baby, we finna go at it. Baby, we finna fight for real, for real. That's why I don't be dating all of these big buff men, because I need somebody that if you act crazy, I can make sure that I'm okay. So I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Because I'm not. Mm-mm. 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 We're not doing that. We are not doing that. Baby, the first time, baby, we finna fight like wild dogs. Do you hear me? And after that, we not gonna be together, okay? It ain't just the young ones, Harold. Young, old alike. They it age is not the determining factor. It's the mindset, because you got some of these old fuckers that be trying to beat on people. No ma'am. No God. Mm-mm. The first time you put your hand on me, we gonna fight like wild ass dogs. And after that, we not together no more. I promise you that. We gonna fight like some wild ass dogs. After that, I'm calling the squad over. Your best bet is to make sure you have exited the premises before the squad comes over. Because when the squad comes through, we all ready to go to jail. We all know this ain't gonna end well. So you might want to get whatever you got and roll up out of there before the squad come through. Because I promise you, it ain't gonna end well. We're not doing that. And I'm not gonna even knock on wood with this. I've never, ever dealt with domestic violence. Never. Never anything close to or remote to domestic violence. Never. Absolutely not. Ain't nobody ever threatened me. Ain't nobody ever made the inference never, not even the slightest indication. I just can't I cannot wrap my brain around you telling me that we in a whole ass relationship and you finna do what? You think you finna do what? Oh no, ma'am. No, ma'am. No God. Nope. Did Really Be start her live yet? Somebody tell me, did Really Be start yet? Oh, she just started. Okay. Anyway, um, we about to get out of here. That's all I got for y'all today. That's the dossier for today. Okay. Listen, y'all, as I always say, I love y'all. I love all y'all. Thank you all for being vocal, present, and active. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for any and all contributions that you make to the channel. They are much obliged and much appreciated. Thank you so much, DPG, for your super chat today. Thank you to all of those people that sent me a cash app after Silly Saturday. I know Opal, Ravine, MVN, Demetria are some of the ones that I can remember. I probably shouldn't have started calling names because now I'm gonna forget somebody. But I appreciate all that you all do. And everything that you all do for me and for your continued support of me in this platform. We're gonna get up out of here. We'll be back tomorrow for Run Your Mouth Forget and for Red, Blue, and Black. That's all I got for y'all. I'm gonna send y'all over to Really Be. Stay put, stay right there. Until next time, thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safely. I'm out.